Hey guys, welcome back to my Dear PyGui tutorial series. In this video, we're going to talk about tooltips and the simple plot widget. The simple plot widget, by the way, is not the complex plot that you see in a lot of the demos and things like that. We will cover that later. Right now, we're just talking about the simple plot, which is really just useful for plotting just simple, really simple data. So to do that, you use add simple plot, the name of the plot, just like every other widget, and you set its value like this, which is just a list of basically the y coordinates. The x coordinates are just the indices of the data. So for instance, 4.3, 8, 9, and let's do 3. So let's plot that and see how it looks. You can see there. So one of the pretty useful keywords you can use here is histogram true. You can also change the height or width. So let's do 100. And histogram, change it to histogram, which is pretty valuable. Now all of these you can actually hover and see the value. And this is what I was talking about with the x coordinate. You can see is the 1 and the y coordinate being 4.13. So the x coordinate basically just becomes the indices. So for more complex plotting, obviously you want to use the actual plotting widgets, which we haven't covered yet. But anyway, that's really the basics of that. And if you see, set this false, like I was saying, you can actually, hover these. And there's a few other keywords, like you can set the min and max value, which by default is the minimum. It actually sets 0 as your lowest value. So if you want to manually set that, you can, and if you hover this, you can see some of that. You can also change, you can set the overlay. So let's see what that does. Overlay equals, let's do overlay. You can see what that does. It kind of adds a title bar, or not title, sorry, title bar, a title. And if there's any other ones, tip, you can actually change the hovering where it shows the coordinates. You can change it to whatever you'd like, and other than that, everything else here is standard for the rest of other widgets. So that's the simple plot. Now the other widget that I'd like to show is the tooltip. Now there is simple tooltips. For example, when you do, every widget has this. Well, most widgets have this. Let's say hover me is what we're going to call it. And there should be a keyword in most of these, which is tip, right? So let's say a simple tooltip. Now, if you hover this, you'll see it, right? Now, simple tooltip is just text. That's useful for hints or maybe displaying a single value or something like that. But that's pretty limited. There's a much more powerful feature, which is an actual tooltip widget. Now, the way that works, it's a container just like window, group, child, all of those container widgets. So there's a context manager version inside of simple and a add and in version inside of core, but like with the rest of the containers, we're going to recommend using the context manager. So the way you use that is you would say with tooltip. And unlike other widgets, instead of the ID of the widget here, you actually give it the parent. So in this case, the parent is the hover me widget above that, and then you do the ID. So we'll just say tooltip 1. And the cool thing about this tooltip versus the simple tooltip is you can actually add any widget you want. I mean, you could put a plot. So just to display that, I mean, it's basically a full window. I want this to say true because, the histogram looks a lot prettier. Let's plot 2. You can even add, like I said, you can add anything you want. Add input int. Even though this will be pointless because you won't actually be able to type in it, and you'll see why. So that's it. Now let's watch how this works. So you see hover me? Voila. So like I said, you can put anything you want there. You can't really interact with it because it you can't get to it. It's only shown when you're hovering the widget. But I mean, you can imagine you could do some pretty creative things with this. If you look at the demo, actually, never mind, it is no longer in the demo, so scratch that. But anyway, that's kind of the whole point of the tooltip and simple plot. So hopefully that was helpful for those of you that haven't used this yet. On another note, we also plan on making more of these videos and making them a lot quicker. They're pretty easy to do because they're not really planned out and there's not much editing involved. Actually, there's really not any editing involved. So be looking for more of these videos. And right now we're trying to cover all the basic stuff, but we will jump into the much more complex widgets and topics. So that's coming up. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, or even maybe sponsor us on GitHub. So until next time.